All right. Uh, three, two, one.
All right, guys, welcome to DJ Talks. I think this is episode like 9 or 10 or something.
I think it's
Uh,
10 today.
Today's 10. Holy, we made it 10 weeks straight of this. Well, technically it's like 12 weeks because we did a couple trial runs that we're never gonna release. But yeah,
Never.
10 episodes. It's awesome. Maybe one day, but they were so shitty that I don't see us like uploading those episodes.
I can.
Um,
We can do it. We'll upload it once we're famous and something happens. Pop it on and it's like,
or
hey.
if we get bored and we want to troll our fucking subscribers or something. But as you guys know, my name is Johnny, and to my right is Dan.
What's up?
Wait, you're on my right?
Yeah.
Okay, I always forget. I just want to. I don't want to point there and be like, "Oh, there's Dan," and then it's like just like fucking related videos or something. I don't know.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so this week we wanted to talk a little bit about dieting. This is actually a topic that we wanted to talk about for a while, but by no means are we experts on the topic. But we wanted to talk about our impressions of dieting, what we know about it, and our thoughts in general. I think Dan and I have pretty strong opinions about some things. I know I do. And this is something that Dan's want to talk about for a while too, so I'm really excited.
Strong opinions. I don't know about strong opinions, but I have some opinions on this because um, obviously, if you can tell, I'm not exactly the best person to say, hey, well, this diet worked for me, this, but
I mean, I mean,
but I've tried a couple of things. I've done a couple of things. Um, Dieting in general, yeah, we may branch out not only from food, but maybe exercise a little bit, but we'll see where it takes us from there.
yeah,
But just dieting in general, yeah.
yeah. We might even branch out to stuff like body image and societal perceptions of health and stuff. So, um, with that, we're gonna get started. So, Dan, what's the first thing that you wanted to talk about today?
So, I mean, what have you heard about, or what do you know about dieting in general? What have you heard, or what diets have you seen, or have you seen other people take a part in? Because you know those big names like Jenny Craig or, oh man, I don't even know any of the big names. I just know Jenny Craig.
Oh
But you
yeah, I
know,
mean vegetarian and vegan diets and stuff, and you also have including excluding certain types of
mhm.
things in your food. So
um,
my impressions of dieting in general are that they're bad, that they're pretty shitty for you in general, unless you have like a real medical reason for it. Somebody I work with, she has a medical condition where the thing in your throat that separates like where you breathe and your esophagus is that's what goes onto your stomach, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that little like flap thing, right? That
Yeah, so
okay.
hers doesn't work correctly. So she has to be very careful with eating certain foods that will trigger her stomach acid that could potentially like go into the wrong place. So she's very specific with her diet, and I think that's so legitimate. Like if your body literally says that you can't eat certain foods that because they'll like fuck shit up, then yeah, that's fine. But I think there are other people who just like I don't know. They just have like really weird ways of going about the way they eat food, or like when they eat food, or what they should and shouldn't eat and stuff. But in general, I think that it's kind of. I don't want to say it's silly. I think that there's a difference between like watching what you eat and dieting. Dieting, I feel, is more extreme, and generally, I think I saw a statistic once. And like I said, Dan and I are not experts on this, and for me, I didn't do a lot of research on this either, so that's totally on me. But like 85 or 90% of people who go on a diet don't last a very long time. Have you heard that statistic before?
I don't know the number, but I've heard that specifically said.
Yeah,
So
like people just like fall out of a diet. They're like they don't roll with it for a very long time. So it's like, I mean, you start it and you probably go for like a month or something, and then you just drop it.
and not even just that, but at the same time, if they do succeed after whatever set time that they put into it, I watched a TED talk about it, and it said that people are very likely and easily to bounce back, as
Yes,
in
yes,
like
I've heard
to
that too.
like yo-yo right back into what they did because they missed all of these foods, and the second they start eating that exact
Binge.
food, they start, yeah, binging, start fully enjoying. They say there's a habit after what, 3 weeks, right? You make something a habit after 3 or 4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, it depends on what it is, but it's
Hmm.
something along those lines. Like it takes a couple of weeks.
Right. But eating is so much different, and this TED talk was super interesting. I don't know if she had facts to back it up, or it didn't. I mean, TED talks are generally um, really interesting, but she said that most people have a somewhat subconscious weight level they
Hmm.
stay at. No matter how
Yeah.
much dieting you do, or no matter how much like up and down you go, you're generally around the same area once you kind of hit that point.
Yeah, I had a conversation once with a really good friend of mine, and he was telling me about how most of the time, just like when you're living your life and you're eating, even if you're eating like more unhealthy food than you really should, quote unquote,
Hmm.
um, your weight and the way you look is generally just kind of a result of where you've kind of like your equilibrium almost of where your body should be, and that's kind of where it's comfortable.
Hmm.
And that I think you made a really good point. I'm really glad you brought that up, Dan. That even if you go on a diet and you lose like a shit ton of weight, you're probably going to gain a decent amount of it, if not all of it back, because your body is just so out of sync, and you want to like get back in sync to what you're used to. Um, and that's definitely happened to me a couple times too. Like I'll work out for like 2 months and I'll change the way I eat, but then like this was in college, so then it's really easy to go out really late at night when you're staying up to do work and you eat like really shitty food, and then just within like a couple of weeks you're back
Hmm.
to where you were before. Um, I was actually really worried about that when I went to Tokyo. I gained like 8 or 10 pounds or something
Oh.
because I just like ate so much. The crazy thing though is that like one of my friends that went with me to Tokyo, um, his body fat percentage went down by like 5 or 7%. He was like in the low to mid 20s, and then was at 17% afterwards. So like he was at a really good place in terms of like body weight or body fat. Um, but then like after a week, I lost that weight, and I'm like, what? I'm back to like normal, and I think that's probably as a result of me like eating candy and snacks and stuff that I normally wouldn't eat, but I wanted to try because I was in Tokyo.
Yeah.
But then like coming back, I started working a lot, and so that probably contributed to it, right? And then eating more normal food that my body is used to definitely contributes.
Hmm.
Which is also kind of funny, just because I know a lot of people in Tokyo are way skinnier than me. So then, like when they see me, they're able to identify me as a foreigner because I'm like thicker than they are, and they'll ask like, "Oh man, you're really muscular." I'm like, "Nah, nigga, I'm just fat." And they don't know that. Um, but like I think that me, like I've kind of accepted that like I'm a little thick, so like that's probably the way I'm gonna be for the majority of my life, if not all of it, just because that's like where my my equilibrium is, right?
Hmm.
So it'll be something along those lines.
Yeah, and the same thing, same. Also, another little thing, same topic that the TED Talk was kind of talking about, but she started mentioning as well. If you start dieting, you start losing a little bit of your metabolism, or the amount of metabolism that you have doesn't equate to the amount of food that you'll eat. There was something along these lines where if you start eating less or a certain restriction of diet, the second you start eating it again, you'll gain it all back because of this metabolism slowdown almost. Even if you
Hmm.
work out or even if this or that, you're still at this point in your body where it's not used to what you're doing, and it probably won't be fully used to it. She said even after like 5, 7 years of doing it, like the second you start, boom, your metabolism's gonna kind of go exactly back to where it was, and um, you'll eat the same kind of things again. And I've seen it happen. I've done it. I've done things like this where I go on some random weird diet, and it's random things. There's nothing like scripted, nothing, no diet that I actually read that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try this diet. No, I just start eating less. I guess that can be considered a diet, but yeah, eating less and eating a
Hmm.
certain calorie, and I start counting calories or doing this and this and this, and then after a couple weeks, boom, bounce right back because I ate this delicious ass food, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh shoot, it's over.
And counting calories is something I definitely want to touch on later, but I definitely see what you mean because I'm actually kind of surprised that the TED Talk that you watched had that number of 5 to 7 years of being healthy or dieting or whatever, and then like being able to bounce back. I didn't know that. I think that's fascinating.
Hmm.
A little scary, but uh, it kind of speaks to what Mother Nature's power looks like in the way we live our lives, in the way we control our health and things like that. It's also kind of it's a curse and a blessing at the same time because I think it means that you and I can like still enjoy the unhealthy foods that we like, but not necessarily gain a ton of weight from that because it's kind of what our body is used to. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's completely accurate because I would say that that's the same logic as like cutting out certain types of food and then like seeing the results of being healthy. And that's also why I'm very skeptical of hearing other people talk about like weight loss programs and stuff and like dieting methods or like workout programs. I'm like super skeptical of that stuff. And it's really easy to buy in if you're desperate enough for the results, right? I think
Yeah,
that if
definitely.
people are very self-conscious and they just don't feel as confident or happy with the way they look, that they will go out of their way to commit to things that may not necessarily be good for them, but then or show the results that were promised. But um I feel like there are so many workout programs and facts about dieting and health out there that it's really hard for people, like including myself. I struggle with this all the time, finding what the real facts are and how I should take that information because everybody's bodies are different, right? So we should be able to interpret information differently for ourselves and then apply it accordingly, not just following a trend that this really hot dude with a six pack or this
Mhm.
really fit looking girl, with like huge biceps tells you on a TV screen or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, every person is a little bit different, and that's why, I mean, there are people who are specifically like dietitians or food experts or people who are actually, they even have food science and making sure that you can eat the right foods,
Yeah.
and they can gauge your body and gauge what you are eating or what you're consistently doing, how active you are, how much exercise you get. All of these factors come into play, and then they can make a decision based on that. That's why they're getting actually paid. So I watched something specifically like bodybuilders,
Hmm.
weightlifters. So if you ever heard of the strongman competition, have you ever heard of that before?
Maybe it doesn't like ring any bells.
Okay, well, it's this huge, like the strongest persons in the world.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they have a specific thing where it's, um, they have a specific diet. Now, from what I've heard before, this can put huge strains on your body, obviously. But I watched a couple of these videos where these strongmans, they're not like fit. They don't have to be this super lean or cut or someone like The Rock almost,
Mhm.
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, kind of like that. No, these guys are big. They're not, but they're strong. So they kind of look a little bit fat, but at the same time they're super strong. So they can lift massive amounts of weight.
Yeah, I
And
just looked it up. I see what you mean. They're not like
Mhm.
they might not be the gorgeous,
Yep,
really thin but like muscular chisel type of people,
right.
but it doesn't really matter what their size. They just like extremely strong.
Exactly. And the thing about them is they have these dietitians who, I mean, their whole goal is to lift as much as possible, right? So they train a lot. So they're eating pretty much like you, if you guys heard of Michael Phelps, that kind of almost meal. But they're eating fattier, more carbs, so they can expend more energy to pick these things up. So this
Hmm.
guy, I watched a video. He kind of went through his entire diet during a day. He ate
Hmm.
like 12,000 plus calories, right?
Jesus.
So, and this is like you wake up, you eat eight eggs, eat some bread, some like peanut butter or something. He had pasta, he had cheesecake at night. He had what was it, like massive amounts of protein shake, and each meal he had was like 1,000 plus calories, and sometimes it was like 3,000 calories. So every person is a little different depending on what kind of dieting. Doesn't just mean, in my opinion, doesn't mean just let me lose weight. Dieting is a way of almost eating for a specific goal or a specific kind of your lifestyle that you're partaking in now. Dieting in general, in my opinion, has to be just eating healthy, right? Eating a balanced kind of set
Like,
of food, right?
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Kind of a
yeah.
set of food that you get that full food pyramid almost. Uh, when we were young, the food pyramid where we kind of
Dude, I never
um,
believe it
learned.
was so hard for me to like understand the food pyramid as a
Mhm.
kid because I'm like, man, y'all are talking about like breads and cereals and shit, and at home I eat like rice and noodles. I'm like, where the fuck does this stuff fall into the food pyramid?
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like really confused. 'Cause I'm like, wait, I don't know what I'm eating, but none of that looks like it's on a food pyramid because my mom just cooks it, so I have no idea.
Exactly. I mean, nobody follows the food pyramid to a T, obviously, but
Yeah, obviously.
and with everybody's busy lives, it's easy to just go out, grab a quick McDonald's or something. But
It's easy to get baited too, because you're like, oh, I want something healthier. Oh, I'll just eat at Chipotle because like it's presented to be healthier and stuff instead of like getting a Big Mac at McDonald's next door. You know what I mean?
dude,
It's
Chipotle
like
is
super.
healthy. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's not like terribly healthy. If you look at all of the numbers, like there's a ton of sodium in it, and like
Yeah,
a single bowl is like 1K calories or something. So
yeah,
if you're on like
yeah.
a 2K calorie count, then I wouldn't say that that's necessarily considered healthy. But that doesn't mean it's not delicious because I freaking love Chipotle. Um, but I think you made a really good point, Dan. You're talking about you mentioned the definitions of dieting and how people interpreted that,
Mhm.
and I think that is a really good point. That dieting has a connotation of changing your eating habits to lose weight, but a diet or dieting can just describe someone's eating habits. Period. Whether they whatever the goals are.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's a really good point, and that we just associate the connotation of dieting to they're dieting, which means that they're probably trying to lose weight or they're aiming towards something, right? That
Mhm.
is along the lines of slimming down. We don't often think about dieting like an extreme case of Michael Phelps style thing, which is like thousands and thousands of calories to maintain that lifestyle of
Oh
exercising
yeah.
and like, pushing your body to its limits in a way that is almost superhuman in a way, right? Like
Mhm.
that's not something that a lot of average people can do. And I think that at least that's my opinion. Maybe there are studies to show like there are people who if you commit to it, you can like reach some benchmark. But yeah,
Well, I'm gonna say something like that as well. Where I mean, these people are paid to do what they're doing,
what do you mean? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
That's true. It's like
Like
professionals. They're sponsored.
professionals.
Yeah,
Exactly. They're paid to do what they do. Just like um, one biggest person that I know, or not I personally know, it's pretty much just actors, actresses, and the huge transformations that they have. The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, had, I mean,
big boy.
yeah, he does so much in media, in like
Oh
um,
yeah, he's
everything, right? He
everywhere. Yeah.
one of the biggest because he dabbles in almost everything.
Yeah.
So he puts his diets out there. You know, he shows and he does interviews and all of this. And in order to maintain what he does, he eats. So he's not like the strongman kind of competition. He's very strong, but he definitely won't, probably can't outlift a strongman.
Do you think he's more for like the looks, or is he more like?
He
You say that he's not like as strong as a strong man competition
right.
dude.
Yeah, he's not gonna be like that because he's not going for something like that. He's going for kind of more
Right.
lean, his style, like buff, big, but
Yeah.
cut and lean, right?
Hmm.
This is how he wants to be because he said his like childhood, his either his parents or his grandparents or somebody was a wrestler as well, so he kind of followed in that direction. And he loves what he does, and he plays roles in movies exactly with his type of body shape, with his kind of like physique on.
Oh yeah, dude. It's funny as hell watching him
Right.
like in Fast and Furious, like
Yeah, dude, he
he's
was
this big, buff, scary dude, right?
huge. He was huge in
Arms,
that.
like his shirts look like they're crying because like his arms are so big. Like I feel bad for his shirts, dude.
Uh, but I watched videos of these where actors and actresses where they say, and a couple of examples of them are like Mark Wahlberg and Gerard Butler
Hmm.
from 300, Ben Affleck, uh, Christian Bale. These types of people, they in order to bulk up to the amount that they do, and their body shape and that like muscular physique, they said the hardest part about their dieting wasn't even just the exercise part, where they had to do like countless number of hours during the day as well. The hardest part was eating. Okay. Because they needed to eat thousands upon thousands of calories
Hmm.
as well. Because they needed to build these muscles and they were working out the amount that they were working out, so they needed all of these
Right.
calories in them. But the way they ate was different than strongman kind of thing, because strongman could almost eat anything. They can eat fat, eat cheesecake, eat all of these. These actors and actresses, they ate plain chicken breast, small little, like maybe piece of or cup of rice or something on the side, steamed vegetables, like these super healthy styles of eating.
Where are you getting this from?
YouTube videos. Like
Okay.
I watched interviews with them. I
Mm,
watched
okay.
a ton of this kind of stuff, and this is how they ate. They wake up at 4 a.m. They exercised. They ate like
So this is these guys themselves describing
Mhm.
what they had to like. Okay.
what they had to go through in order to transform their body into the movie star people that you saw, right?
Okay.
In the actual movies. So like 300, you saw Gerard Butler in his Spartan outfit with like 8 pack abs or something, buff
Yeah.
as hell. They had to go through this regimen for months,
Hmm.
eat thousands of calories, and then also but eat healthy. So these kind of diets that you have, I mean, like I said, is a lifestyle kind of choice, or not even just choice, but things reaching for a specific goal. And they're not
Hmm.
fat, right? They're not losing weight as well. They're gaining muscle and
Yeah.
building a body shape. So, have you heard of this kind of thing before?
Yeah. I definitely heard about uh the training regimens that celebrities have to go through for specific roles.
Hmm.
I've also heard of that. Like you talked about like the plain chicken breast vegetable steamed vegetable
Hmm.
diet that I've heard like seen on Facebook countless times, especially when I was in college, of like people doing all this meal prep and trying to like look really good and
Yep.
like feel really good about themselves. And a lot of people will say that they do it because they want to and they just want to like it's their body, so they want to like do the most they can with it. And I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Um, I just like I don't know. It just seems like people go to a lot of extremes to look really good, and it's really difficult in a more superficial society that we live in today, where it's difficult for people to feel good about themselves without going the extra mile
Hmm.
to reassure themselves. And I think the pressure is on for a lot of very specific groups of people.
Hmm.
Like women get it the worst. I feel like it sucks so
Oh,
much. Like
definitely, yeah.
for women to have to like wake up like an hour and a half before like going to work just so they can like present themselves in a way that makes it look like they are a decent member of society because they put eyeliner on this morning and like the rest of their makeup, right? And they have to like get dressed in a way that's like I don't know. There's so much judgment about the way women present themselves and how they
Hmm.
dress and things that like there's a lot of pressure on them to make sure that they look the way society wants them to.
Yeah.
And then you have like dudes who are like trying to make sure that they're slim and muscular and that they look like, decent human beings. And I'll admit too, like I've definitely struggled with body image issues before because like compared to like a lot of my friends in college and from high school, like I'm pretty thick and
What the? What?
No, like actually,
Really?
dude, like
Oh
yeah,
my god.
I weigh more than most of my friends, and
Okay.
then like
Holy crap.
and like yeah, and it feels really bad too, because like it's kind of a real hit to my confidence sometimes when I'm like, oh, you know, my friends can like wear these clothes or like they can get away with those.
Mm.
I'll put on a similar outfit. I remember this very specifically in college. So there were a couple of outfits that I had, or like I had some clothes that I wore a lot, like my sophomore year, but I really didn't like the way I looked in them because I just felt like, man, if I was like 10 or 20 pounds slimmer, I probably would like look way better in this. And then like I would have a friend put it on who was like way slimmer and more of a slim, like
Body.
healthier physique, I would
Mhm.
say, body type. And when he put on my clothes, I was like, wow, you look really good in them. You should have them. Um,
Mhm.
so he's a mutual friend of ours, but I don't want to call him out because I know he doesn't like to be put on the spot like that.
That's
But I
good.
remember like that was one of the moments where I was like, man, this feels really shitty because like I see him wearing my clothes when I go out to like hang out with him, and he looks really good in them. But then like I don't feel like
Yeah.
as good in those clothes. So it's definitely like I think it's definitely like an internal thing for me where uh, I feel like I'm just beating myself up for no real reason. But at the same time, I think that there are a lot of expectations in society where like you see your friends and then they have like their beach pictures and they're like having a really good time and they're enjoying themselves. Like, well, shit, man. Like,
Mhm.
come on. Like, you know.
Yeah. It is societal pressure, man. That's how
And
it
it feels
is.
really yeah, it feels so bad. So I don't necessarily blame people for like buying into these like diets, like wanting to
Mhm.
make those changes because there's so much pressure from other people. But at the same time, I would, while I'm trying to build this in myself, I would encourage and empower my peers to challenge those standards
Mhm.
because I think that there is a lot of beauty and confidence in yourself, even if you don't necessarily look the Hollywood look.
Right.
So
And it's not even about just, and you bring it up, it's great that it is a huge thing about society that um, makes us feel the way we feel. And yeah, it's good on you. I mean, definitely empower our viewers into um, challenging these societal norms that we have continuously put upon everybody in general, especially for females. I mean, like you said, they go through an extra mile just to present themselves, literally and figuratively. They
yeah.
probably run more than us too, just to get their body into the way they look. And I don't know if you've heard of this before, but it's like a Victoria's Secret diet where this
I've never
is
heard of that.
all right. Well, it's the diet that the Victoria's Secret models go through before they do a huge like one of those Victoria's Secret fashion show things. And they basically eat less and less. I mean, their beginning routine is pretty standard. It's like oatmeal, healthy food, healthy living. But then, like a week beforehand, they just eat almost nothing. And then the day of, they just eat literally nothing. Literally, they just cut out all foods for that entire 12
That
or
sounds
2 hours.
horrible.
And in order to get to the shape they are. And then you hear other extreme cases like the Master Cleanse diet. Have you heard of that before?
Mm,
Specifically, it's
maybe.
it is
Uh,
it is extreme. I don't know if you heard specific. It's like lemon juice or lemon water, um, cayenne pepper, and that's pretty much all you have. I don't know the
that's all you eat?
specifics. Yep, for I think a week. I'm gonna kind of Google this here quickly.
What the hell? That sounds terrible.
Um,
What?
it
How do you
is
survive on just like liquids and fucking a spice? What?
2 tablespoons of lemon or lime juice. Oh, maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and then purified water. Drink 6 to 12 glasses per day, and then
What?
do that for I think a week.
What the hell is that supposed to do for you? You get like nothing out of that.
I don't know the exact details. I just know that this is like a super extreme. It's like a cleanse of your body in order to get all the toxins out of it so you can eat normally
What does that
again or
even
something.
mean? What like okay, I've actually never understood what that means. Like people say get toxins out of your body. I'm like, what the fuck is toxic about my body that I need to get out other than like when I go to the bathroom? Like what?
It's I think it's more so to do with like sugars have addictive qualities, or like fats and certain types of food have some type of addictive qualities, and then you go on this cleanse, and then you kind of say, hey, all of a sudden I don't crave these things anymore.
So
Uh,
what do you crave? Like tree bark afterwards? Like
no, you just eat regular food, I guess. I'm not familiar with the whole kind of um, why and the how, and like people say it's definitely not healthy. It's you're not eating
sounds like shit. You're not eating anything.
anything. You're literally
Dude, like
drinking
I'll
six
have
to
like
12
a
cups.
7 a.m. shift at Starbucks, and then like an hour and a half in, my stomach will growl if I didn't eat breakfast, and I like feel real like garbage because
Hmm.
I'm like, holy crap! Like I'm running around, like I'm making all these drinks, I'm like refilling and brewing all these coffees and stuff, and then I'm just like, wow, I really should have ate this morning. I don't know how people will survive on a week of like,
Well, do you ever crave anything like sugars and fats, or do you ever crave kind of like candy, this and that?
um, so I mean, I guess this is a thing more so in college, but I grew to really fall in love with noodle dishes, like
Hmm.
noodles and soup.
Right.
So, I think that when I started exposing myself to more like different types of noodles, I would have cravings for pho or tonkotsu ramen.
Hmm.
That happens more often than not. Like if I don't have it for like maybe a week or 2 weeks, then I'll be like, huh, it's been a while. I really want some. Sometimes I'll crave like uh, chips,
Hmm.
like potato chips, like
Yep.
just like salty, crunchy, really shitty for you but delicious food like that.
Hmm.
I'm actually not that big on sugars, actually.
Okay.
Oh, I hate that I use that sentence structure. I actually am not blank. Actually, oh, feels bad. But yeah, I'm actually not big on sugar. I used to be as a kid, but then it sucks because in college I had like a decent amount of sugar just because I would binge when I was like doing homework, and then I got cavities, which felt so fucking bad.
It's bad.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, but I don't really like crave it too much. I think I consume a lot of sugar, but maybe I don't crave it because I consume so much of it, right?
Mhm.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I crave sugar all the time.
Mm,
I'm a huge sugar, and I crave like fatty food and pizza and all that kind of random stuff, obviously. And that's, I think,
mm.
where the master cleanse, what they say, is supposed to kind of cleanse yourself of saying, hey, or like coffee. If you really crave coffee or something, this is kind of a cleanse, or potentially something like this where it loses all that craving, and then you can kind of reset almost. It's like a
Right.
reset point. But
This
these
is like
types of
such a
things,
shitty week, though.
yeah. I don't
Oh
know if
my
it's a
god.
week. I don't know how long it is, but I know it's definitely more than like a day. Like I'd be like, all right, a day of this. I can see if it kind of works, maybe.
I would do it at most for like a weekend. I don't think I could
Mhm,
function over the week like on just liquids like that. I would feel really bad over after that weekend too, I think.
mhm.
I don't know.
So I mean, these types of extensive, very, 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 like my words are not coming out. Very extreme
Mm.
dieting kind of cases.
Yeah.
Just take a look at them, see if they're really healthy for you. Do the research yourself.
Yeah.
If you're
You should really do your research for
if
sure.
you're losing all of these type of nutritions in your body, it's probably not the most healthy diet unless it's proven with stats and facts and these types of things. But even then, dietitians say you need that healthy vegetables, fruits, all of these main parts of your body in order to even function. So,
Yeah, and it's also very complicated. Like, it's definitely okay to feel overwhelmed
mhm.
by all this information. Like, I mean, I remember at U of I, wasn't food science a major, Dan?
Yep, we have a food
Yeah,
science
if
class and
you can
everything.
major in shit, then it's complicated enough to like. It's okay if you're overwhelmed by the knowledge, but that also means that you could probably find people to talk to about it. You want to like do a little bit of research and maybe find somebody that you can trust to give you reliable information based on, you know, what you want to do, what you want to change.
And overall, I'd say just it's about keeping somewhat of a healthy lifestyle in general, like, and also with what we have in the US, the American way of eating, it's about portioning your food.
Oh yeah, dude, our portions are fucking huge compared to like the rest of the world. Holy crap.
That's the biggest thing where I see is people overeat all the time because their
Yeah.
stomach starts getting used to it. And then their brains or whatever chemicals in their brains, whatever signals send, like all of a sudden now you keep eating and eating and now that's kind of the norm and then you keep eating and eating more and that's norm again and then like signals all of a sudden say, "Oh, because you've ate so much before, this is the normal amount that you should be eating, so you should feel hungry if you ever eat anything less."
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Even now I'm really hungry. Like talking about food and shit, I'm like, man, I really want to like go get something to eat or like, and I feel like unhealthy food, man. I want some like
Mhm.
fries or like shit, man. You said pizza. I'm like, fuck, pizza sounds real good.
Pizza. uh,
Alright.
but overall, yeah. I mean, control the portions that you eat, and you should see how much portioning actually matters. Like, if you take a look at a dietitian or some type of nutritionist, and then they show you the amount that you're supposed to eat, it is so much less than what even a regular human person in the U.S. eats.
I think the rest of the
It's
world kind of knows that, but in America, we just like, you know, the whole
decipher.
bigger is better idea. Yeah, I think there's some beauty too in having like seeing a meal that's just very large but very like well presented and then like has everything you want. It could also just be because we're one of the wealthier countries in the world, so like it's easier for us to like go in on like a delicious, hearty, very filling meal, right?
And in other countries, they say that being fatter is a sign of wealth.
I
Just
thought
like
that
what
was
you
like a
said,
really
right?
old idea, like from a long time ago, where like fat was attractive because it meant that you were like wealthy and
You
you
had
know
food.
nobility or some shit. Yeah, you have food, and that
Um,
skinny was like unattractive because you're too poor for food.
I
And now
don't.
it's like skinny is attractive, but eating a lot is also like eating a lot while being skinny is like super like desirable, right? Because you want to be able to eat as much as you can, but I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's some countries that consider that still a fatter is more wealthy, or, which is true. I mean, in cases where maybe third world countries, they say, hey, they don't have as much food in general. So if you're fatter or just bigger in general, it must mean that you have some type of food that you're eating. So
Probably.
I don't know. Maybe that's ingrained in our culture now, or ingrained in our bodies. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, we got to eat more in order to show off our wealth.
but I knew though. I knew though. I do know
You're already
that
craving noodles. Look at
I'm,
that.
I'm craving the nudes, man. You know I'm craving the nudes. I actually like sometimes. So my work schedule wasn't like I don't want to say it's been shitty because I've been enjoying my work for the most part, but
Mhm.
like last week I worked 55 hours. This week I'm gonna work 50 hours, and this is all just like just catching up with my work from when I was in Japan. But like I still have so much to do and like things have really picked up.
Mhm.
So, but this week is lighter for me, so I definitely plan on going to like a Japanese restaurant of some kind and getting some noodles at some point. Maybe even tomorrow actually, because I have like a huge break. Um, but
Get some noodles.
anyway, yeah, I want some nudes. But to my point before, when I was in Tokyo, my friend Kyle was telling me about how Japanese diets are becoming more and more Western. And
Uh,
so you'll see the general average height increase because people are eating larger meals. Um,
hmm.
and the meals in general are also changing to more Western meals and or Western styled meals. So you have like greater amounts of protein and greater amounts of calcium. And like, I mean, carbs are already a decent amount of traditional Asian type of foods, but in general, you'll see that like you can see some like really tall dudes now, and like women are also getting taller because I mean they hit puberty sooner and then like they spike. So that
Hmm.
spike you'll see a greater increase. So like even young girls will be much taller,
Right.
just because diets are changing. So I thought that was a really cool fact. So I'm like, wow, um, I didn't realize that like adapting to a more Western diet would be considered I don't know if it's a good thing. I mean, taller doesn't necessarily mean better, I guess, but in our society, taller is definitely seen as attractive. So I guess that could be a good thing for Japan, where they are like lacking in having kids. So maybe if people are more attractive, they'll want to make more babies. Who knows? But the point I was trying to make was that the Japanese diets that they have now, like the food portions are really small, but then they adapt like some Western influence, so then they are taller and they could be seen as healthier. But then maybe in an ideal world, we could take from them and then like maybe portion down our meals, but then still have
Hmm.
a decent amount of nutrients, so our kids can grow to be really tall during puberty as well, and then uh, they can do so without like gaining a ton of weight, or like just people in general don't necessarily have to be like super big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Overall, I think the general takeaway from me from watching all of these videos and kind of doing some research and watching people go through, the like the progression of from fatter to healthy to muscular, those progression videos that some people do on YouTube or
Yeah.
show on Reddit. I mean, just watching a whole bunch of those, um, I've seen not just like the dieting side, but also just in general the healthiest way to do it. And there's no get thin quick
Yeah.
scheme. You can't lose 20 pounds and be healthily losing 20 pounds in like a
Like
week,
48 hours or some
right?
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not healthy if you have that happen.
Right.
So overall, the general trend is just exercise, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not exercising now, do once a week. Progress further twice a week. If you can do once a week, then 3 times a week, or however much you can slowly progress yourself. Um, and then eating healthier,
Mm.
portioning, just being able to. And if you can't do it all at once, from what I've seen in these videos that they've kind of talked about, just focus on one thing at once. If you
Yeah.
haven't exercised in forever, exercise that 1 day a week. Focus on that 1 day a week or something. If you can do
And
2 days a week,
incrementally increase it.
yep.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Baby steps. After you get a healthy amount of exercise done, then you maybe start focusing on what you eat or food, the amount that you eat, or cutting out a certain type of thing, or maybe adding more vegetables into your diet, or whatever it is. Slowly increase whatever you have to do, and then just
Hmm.
eating a balanced, nutritious, portioned meal in
Yeah.
general, overall. You don't have to eat a massive amount. Don't go to a restaurant. Look at like Olive Garden. They give you huge, freaking massive
Oh
ass
yeah.
Oh my god!
They give you like all the soup and salad for free and shit, and you're like, wow, how do I
All you
not
can
gain
eat,
5 pounds leaving this meal?
all you can eat bread, pasta, or bread, soup, and salad, and it's
Yo, that
just
bread is so good.
it is
So good.
delicious. So
Absolutely.
I think that's how I got fat. Back in the day, when when I was there, when I was younger, I used to go with my parents all the time, like once every 2 weeks or so, eat a
Hmm.
massive portion, and I used to eat like the kids' meal. And then all of a sudden, when I was 8 or 9, I went to Olive Garden, and I'm like, well, the kids' meal kind of tastes sucky. Let's go with the big adult meal, and they just bring out this gigantic portion, and I finished it all because it was absolutely delicious.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
How comfortable are you with your body, Dan?
I'm not, definitely not comfortable with my body. I can stand to eat a little healthier, be a little bit more disciplined in what I do. Um, I yo-yoed a lot. So in college, my senior year, I did uh, somewhat of an extreme, but I mean, I went from almost nothing to kind of more extreme, and not even extreme, but I did Insanity,
Yeah, the
And
workout
then,
regimen.
yep, I did
Like
insanity.
from home, do your thing, right?
Yep. And then I ate, like, I dropped my calorie intake basically from when I was at school, probably like 2,000 plus a little bit, to like 1,500 or something, or
That's
13 to 1,500, right? So it
that's
was
very
extreme. I lost weight. I lost like 20 pounds over that summer, but I bounced right back after that, and I'm back at the same because I didn't keep it consistent, and it was just too extreme, you know? So what I've kind of learned from watching all these videos is just, yeah, exactly what I said. Take it slow, you know? Eat the foods you like, but be healthy with what you eat in general.
like maybe not too much.
Yeah. Like moderation and everything, right?
There's actually a really good podcast I listened to. I
Hmm.
think it was hosted by Guy Raz, who does TED Radio Hour and How I Built This. Wait, maybe it wasn't Guy Raz. It might have been Stuff You Should Know. I don't know. But I was listening to another podcast where, oh yeah, it probably wasn't Guy Raz, but I like Guy Raz, so
Check
very
that
cool
out.
guy. You can check him out too. But there was a podcast I listened to about a woman who ate 2 cheeseburger meals a week because she wanted to find the best cheeseburger in the state she lived in.
Hmm.
And she did this for I think 50 weeks. So uh, she would always order a full meal, which included like fries, which is a very important part of the cheeseburger meal for her, and then I think she had a soda with it as well.
Hmm.
Um, so 50 weeks, almost a year of just like
Twice a
cheeseburger
week.
meals twice a week.
Okay.
And she lost weight at the end of it. So that was fascinating to me because uh, y- she kept talking about how much she loved cheeseburgers, and I'm listening to this podcast, so I have no idea what she looks like, um,
I
and I'm just
assume she's
imagining.
a fat person.
Yes, yes. But the podcast does that intentionally.
uh,
They have a open dialogue about it at the beginning, but it kind of like makes you think, okay, she's a cheeseburger lover, and she
hmm.
keeps telling you that she's gonna eat more cheeseburgers. So it just puts this idea in your head that she's like, a little bulkier. But they said in the podcast she's like 120, 130 pounds, and she's like a happy, healthy
Uh,
woman, like in her 30s or 40s or something. But the biggest thing was that it was all a mental game for her. And what I mean by that isn't that it was like mental fortitude to like, oh, I gotta like make sure I get through this and like be healthy and stuff. But she never counted any calories during this process or anything. What she
mhm.
did was she would enjoy that cheeseburger meal and she would look forward to it, but she had that planned out in advance. And so when she would have other meals throughout the week, she would think about those cheeseburger meals and she'd be like, huh, you know, they're really good, but subconsciously she made decisions that were healthier because she knew that the cheeseburger meals were coming. And the podcast talked a lot about how like mentally preparing yourself for these kinds of things could be really helpful because like for example, if you know like Friday nights you like to go out with your friends and y'all like to eat like Korean fried chicken or something,
Yep.
or you want like go out and like drink a lot of beer and like just have a really good time. Maybe if you think about how much you're looking forward to that, you could take steps back during the week and be like, oh, maybe I just eat something small, or maybe I don't need like a huge meal for lunch. I can just get back to work. And do other things to distract yourself so you don't think necessarily about food all the time.
Hmm.
That could help. I also know that a lot of people snack a lot. Oh, my bad. They also snack a little too much when they're bored. So
Yes.
if you ever like, because I'm so guilty of this. If you're like really bored, just find something to do. Don't think about food or like you know. Something I was gonna talk about that I wrote down earlier. That Dan, you made a really good point about taking it slow with working on health and trying to improve your diet. Is Pokemon Go. That was actually like a really big thing for me because in college I was like there are times when I was like just like really it was really easy for me to just lay in bed all day and just feel bad about myself, and then I was like, man, I feel shitty about my health.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
because I feel shitty, I'm gonna eat something really unhealthy because it makes me happy in that moment. Just getting out and going for a walk, even if it's just for like half an hour, you'll feel better about yourself, and then it just gets it doesn't. Obviously, it's not the same kind of exercise that you get from like lifting weights and stuff, but you get out there, you sweat a little because you're walking and it's kind of like warm out. I mean, for me, that was the summer, so I sweat a lot. I just sweat a lot in general. But like you're getting your body moving, you're getting the gears grinding, and it's kind of nice just to like go for a walk. I've even found myself like walking for hours and hours, and like
Hmm.
half the time I'm not even playing Pokemon. I'm just like walking around. I'm checking out the neighborhood, seeing what's new. So little things like that I think could be really good. If you want to like take baby steps towards improving yourself and just feeling better about yourself in terms of health.
And yeah, just being disciplined about it. It's tough,
Yeah.
but it'll move. You'll see progression slowly, but you'll see it. So,
Hmm.
and you'll feel probably better in general without eating all of this the food that you normally eat. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, along that line, actually, same with the podcast. There was a person, and I've heard this story before. Person who ate McDonald's, I think
Oh
every
yeah.
day for a
Three
certain
meals a day.
period of
Yep.
3 meals a day,
Yeah.
and they lost weight and they got healthier because they have different options at McDonald's and they can portion out the amount that they eat and they can
Hmm.
eat what they want as long as you look at what you're eating. If you're eating a
Hmm.
huge, gigantic Big Mac, I mean, you're probably not eating that healthy, so you might want to cut it back a little bit and not eat the whole thing. Or, they have
Or maybe you
salads
eat
or
like
apples.
rarely or something.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
there's all about just taking a look at what you eat, stepping back, taking a look at
Knowing
everything,
what's
and
in it, right?
yep.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. And something else I wrote down that I want to mention is Soylent is also something that we haven't talked about, but I thought was really interesting. Um,
We should get a. Oh, keep going. I want to see what you say about it first.
so I actually tried it in college, but it wasn't because I necessarily wanted to lose weight. I think that was definitely a motivating factor for me to take the initiative to try it because I know a lot of people are very skeptical at first.
Hmm.
Think about like a liquid meal, like what the hell does that mean? But a really big thing for me was that during my last semester of college, I was really overwhelmed with a lot of work, so it was really easy for me to like go out of my way and like eat something like really unhealthy that was really quick in between classes or something. But literally having a bottle of Soylent to take that to substitute that meal not only was healthier but was also way cheaper, and money was a really big problem for me in college. So like every bottle of regular flavored Soylent is like $2 and like 50 or 70 cents or something. It's less than $3, but if I think about like a single burrito bowl of Chipotle, which is almost like $8 or $9 into two meals, that's still like 450 each. So just having like bottles of Soylent ready to go
Hmm.
was really helpful. So some people really like it because it makes it really easy to count calories, which we also haven't talked about yet. But it also gives you like a very nice portion of like, here's some protein, here is some carbs, here are some fats, and not a lot of it, but then it just portions everything out nicely. What do you think of Soylent, Dan?
I was gonna say something. If you said something good about it, we can maybe get a sponsorship from Soylent. Yeah, Soylent. Woo.
Ooh,
If
that'd
we
be
get
cool.
big enough. No. I mean, I've only tried Soylent once, and it was like a sip of it. It tasted pretty good, in my
Hmm.
opinion. It wasn't bad tasting. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It just tasted like soy milk almost, but
Yeah, it's like a thick
thicker.
soy milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Overall, I mean, I haven't ever done it before. I've never like had a bottle for
By
a
done it, you
meal.
mean like having it as a
Uh,
part of your diet?
Right, having it as a part of my diet, like having it as a full meal, or just like a breakfast or lunch or dinner, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But I think, hey, I mean, as long as you get the proper nutrients in you during the day, if that's something quick and easy that you can do, it saves not only, like you said, money, but it's also saves you
Time, which
time.
is huge. That was huge
Exactly.
for me.
Exactly. So people love having something quick, something easy. That's why all these fast food restaurants are out there. Rather than doing that, have a Soylent. I
Hmm.
think it can be effective in certain cases, and if you're a very busy person, you don't get many meals during the day. Soylent could be a very good substitute for your day, for your
Yeah.
meal. So, yeah, I mean, I recommend it for people who are super busy. Um, Not recommend, sorry. I'd say recommend trying Soylent, substituting it in for something like a McDonald's that you want to eat. So just test it out. If it doesn't work for you, I mean, it's probably not going to work for everybody, but
Yeah.
some people it may.
You also don't have to substitute every single meal with Soylent. You know,
Hmm.
you don't have to replace all your food. I would substitute like 1 or 2 meals a day, depending on what kind of day it was for me when I did it in college. But yeah, I think like they usually ship boxes in 12s, so I had like as many as 36 bottles in my fridge at one point. And I was just like, that lasted me the greater part of a month. You know, just like 1 or 2 bottles a day, depending on like how I was feeling or what I needed. So
How long does it last in general? Like the Soylent, I mean, not last, but how long does it take to expire? Is it
they usually send soil. Well, there's I got mine during the fall semester of or the spring semester of 2017, which was between January and May. I started buying Soylent in March,
hmm
and the expiration date on them was January 2018.
probably
So it
like,
was it was like 9 or 10 months.
yeah,
But I read somewhere online that they send you Soylent that'll last at least 6 months usually.
which is,
So
yeah, I mean, buy it in
pretty
large
good.
packs, have
Yeah.
it just in case in this bottom corner of your fridge.
Yeah.
Something quick and easy. Yeah.
And it doesn't taste terrible warm. You can drink it warm, but it's like way better cold. I actually bought a thermos because the bottles are 12-ounce bottles, so I bought like a 16-ish ounce thermos just so I had like a little room in there, and I was just like throw it out in my bag, and then like if I knew I was gonna have one on the go, then I'd have that. But
Yeah.
I'd always try to make if I could make a stop home, grab a bottle, and then bounce again. You know, just like a reset, like unpack my bag, grab something from my next appointment, and I roll with that. But if I didn't, then I had my thermos with me, which was really nice.
Do you still do anything Soylent related now?
No.
No.
Ever since I moved back home, it's well, one, my fridge is always full of like random shit. Because my parents like, oh, my mom works at Mariano, so she'll bring home like a decent amount of food from there.
Oh hell
Um,
yeah, Mariano's.
yeah, I mean, it's good when you have it like every now and then, but like it just kind of,
Yeah, all right.
you know, it gets a little excessive. But
Mhm.
yeah, so there's that. I don't have a lot of room in my fridge, but also I'm not as like busy on the hour to hour basis. Like I mean, working at Starbucks, my shifts are usually 6 to 8 hours, and I'll have breaks there. And then when I'm working at home for Tespa, I'm at home. It's okay for me to take like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to like step away from the computer, go grab some food or go make some food, and to come back up. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't have a reason for Soylent right now. But you know, if my life gets busier or if I don't have as much time to eat for whatever reason it is, I think, like you said, because it takes so long to expire, it might be good to have like just a couple of like quote unquote backup bottles that I just have like
Mhm.
in my fridge. Like, oh, I know I'm gonna have a very long day. I'll just bring this with me. So,
Definitely.
might go back to it, but for now, I just don't need it. So,
Yeah. So case by case basis, I guess in general for a lot of different types of foods and a lot of different types of diets. But overall, any final thoughts you think, or any final
um,
topics you wanted to talk about?
the only thing I wanted to mention was counting calories, but I don't have like a lot of say on that. I just think that people have a very skewed perception of calorie count and
Hmm.
food. Like you see calorie counts all over the place now at restaurants because people want to know how many calories you get. But what's more important are the macros in food, I think, and like the contents of what you're eating as opposed to just a calorie number. So um, I think it's just very misleading when people make decisions on how to eat based on a calorie count. Like that's kind of why I was joking earlier about the Chipotle thing.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would say is that I think counting calories is valuable and it's helpful,
Hmm.
but it only works if you're counting them accurately and you're also getting all the nutrients your body needs. So just be very careful with that. Like I'm guilty of this too, but like with MyFitnessPal, it's an app that it makes it really easy to track your calories, but then it's also very difficult because there's a decent amount of inaccurate information in their food database. And there's also the case where like you'll go out with your friends and you'll eat a meal and then you won't know how to count it. So I think it makes it very difficult to track sometimes, but the only thing I wanted to say on that was that you should be very careful and do your research because it's very difficult to track every single calorie that you intake if you're not tracking. It's very difficult for that to be effective if you're
Hmm.
not tracking it accurately.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like same as you say, I have pretty much the same opinion. As long as you're doing it, um, as long as you're accurately doing it, it doesn't have to define your entire diet, right? It it kind of gauges it, gives you a kind of rough idea as long as you have the proper nutrients. But just make sure you're not eating like 5,000 calories a day or excessive amount, and make sure you're eating enough as well. Um, but overall,
Yeah.
you want to keep it in that range, whatever that healthy range is, and you don't have to get it exactly to a T, but just make sure you're eating pretty healthy. So
Hmm.
I guess that's
Yeah.
my biggest thing was just healthy dieting, just being healthy with what you eat and portioning.
But I think that ultimately, and I'm super like guilty of this too, and I'm hoping that I can come to
Yep.
this at some point. But like, hopefully, you are you grow to be comfortable with your body because it's your body and you should appreciate it no matter what it is. But with that being said, also take care of it. So don't hate yourself, but just strive to improve yourself. And I think that focusing on the potential of what your future body looks like or how you would feel is better than just feeling shitty about the way you are now, which is totally something I'm guilty of, like I said before, but it's something I'm trying to keep in mind.
Once again, we're not experts on it.
Not,
We're not
we're just talking about what we think and what we've heard. So
exactly. We're not super disciplined as well, but we feel like these would be, at least for me, I feel like these would be good improvements if I can push for it and kind of watch what I eat in general. Eat healthier, eat less, portion out what I need to eat. But yeah.
cool. Anything you want to close out with, Dan?
No, I mean, just I challenge all the viewers to kind of um, push for something a little healthier in your life, and just like you said, strive to improve yourself, not strive to impress everyone else.
Hmm.
So, on that note, glad you guys could join us. Glad you guys
Yeah.
can watch. Watch our rambling about all of these dieting things, but
This was fun. I'm really glad we actually got to talk about this.
definitely. If you like the video, please feel free to leave any comments or subscribe. If you want to continuously follow us, we'll be putting out a video every Monday around
Sometime in the evening.
evening time, sometime in the evening. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that. But we still haven't gotten some type of focus or topic down yet on what we want to target. I feel like we could be a broad and general kind of um, channel, but
Yeah.
it'll come down to time, and we'll focus a little bit more on what we want to do.
Yeah,
in the future,
we might
so.
actually spend some time talking about how we're gonna roll in the future. Whether or not that conversation is recorded and uploaded, I have no idea.
Mhm.
But that's something that Dan and I have on our radar. But it is really nice to see that we made it to episode 10. I'm pretty excited to see how far we'll go with this. So thanks for sticking around, and you'll see us hopefully next week.
See you guys later.